So his name is Alan Mammon, and he's coming through here in just a couple of weeks for a book tour. And really the book, according to some people that have read it, it's called Twilight and Hazard, an Appalachian Reckoning, is supposed to really be good. So I'm kind of anxious to get into it.
Yeah, I write that down.
Anyway, there are a lot of books that have been written about him. But Ruth, that's not what you wanted to talk to us today. I'm just going on and on. I apologize.
That's all right. Let's see who we have besides Betty. We have Andy. Hello, Andy.
He's muted.
Yes. Why are we introducing ourselves now? Are we ready?
No, I just said hello.
Hi, everyone.
All right. Next person I have is Sarah.
Yep. Hi.
Hi. And then Phyllis
Hi.
and Dick.
I do. How you doing, Bill?
Hey, Dick, how are you?
Pretty good, sir. Hanging in.
Good, good. Good to see you.
You too.
And then Jordan.
Hello, everyone.
So,
Uh-oh, there's that Jordan look again.
Yes.
We were waiting for that.
Yes. Someone's, yeah.
yeah, I mean, we would like to see you in person also, but this is so darn convenient. Not that we don't like the drive and to see your lovely office once in a while, but I don't know. This is okay.
Well, all you had to say was come up and see us, and we would have done that too, I promise.
All right. Didn't want to inconvenience you. Before we get into it, have you found a location for the program you were trying to schedule up here?
We're going to go to Northern Kentucky University.
Okay.
And I know that wasn't
And there's
that wasn't your number one spot.
Well, I mean, it's okay. It's just, you know, university parking.
Well, they have really, it's trite to say, rolled out the red carpet for us as far as parking and making it really convenient. Of course, Joey Harjo is the poet laureate, and she will be, or she will just be in transition next year when we do this. In fact, I don't know exactly the date. Sarah might know that, but she of course will be poet laureate for the full 2021 and then part of 2022. And then the event is in April 2022. And she'll be on stage with Krista Wilkinson and our poet laureate, current Kentucky poet laureate. And so we're really looking forward to a big event. She draws really big numbers, crowds. People are really infatuated with her writing style and her poetry. And she writes a lot about indigenous. She's Native American. And so we're, where we thought was going to be perfect was going to be the cathedral. I don't know if you heard that we looked into that, and they don't do events, or there was some conflict or something like that. So that didn't work out. And we just really, we did scout a few other locations, including the high school, I think. I believe is Campbell County got a new high school auditorium and all of that. Well, anyway, so it turned out that that the university, when we visited there, they are really on board to help us promote this, and we're looking forward to it. Thank you for asking.
No, I like the university, except for the parking issue. So if they can resolve that to everybody's satisfaction, then it's a great place.
Yeah. Yeah.
I just don't like that parking. So tell us, I mean, we know about the program, but the 15,000 that you're asking for, is it kind of like last year where it's going to be allocated between fall and spring?
I'll defer to Sarah on that. In fact, Sarah's going to give you most of the details on this, Ruth and Jordan and board. But let me just say that it is when I'm asked to to speak anywhere, or when I'm on the road, or when I'm talking about the Kentucky Book Festival coming up in November, when I mention that we have our school days program and explain that to people, you can just see a gleam in their eye. They really respond to it well. And we think it's been such a success since we started sending the authors out. The kids, and I think Sarah's going to share some of that with you today also, are delighted. And I hate to put it in terms of it's a selling point, but it really is for Kentucky Humanities and what we do. As you know, it's a fairly new program. We haven't been doing it that many years, and it's been accepted so well. Our goal, quite frankly, is to someday take it statewide, is to raise enough money, and all of it's raised money. We don't use any NEH money at all in other parts of the state, and to take books, and when you can put a book in a child's hands, and let the author sign that book for them, and it's just really special. So we're real pleased with that. So having said that, Sarah, I'm going to sort of turn it over to you, and if there are other questions for me, that'll be just fine, and I'll be here. But Sarah, so is this to be spread out, or is this one time only? Let's start there.
Well, we were hoping for one time only in the fall. So each school that applies, and we always have more schools apply than we can actually support through our funding. Each school that applies can have between 120 to 250 students meet with the author. So the school visits themselves can cost between $1,200 to $1,500 because of the cost of the books and shipping them, and the author honorary and getting everything sorted out. So the more funds we get, the more visits we're able to host, and in-person visits are more costly than virtual visits, but they also have a deeper impact and a more lasting impact for the students. So an example of one of the books that we gave out last year is this book is about two dog friends that are having adventures, and it's signed by the author. She signed book plates, and then there's I have to go the opposite way, the sponsor stickers here. So every book that's given out, the kids know where it comes from, and they write thank you notes and things like that. So we already have 4 authors chosen for the fall. Hopefully we have some funding so far, but it's not enough to fund more than 10 schools or so right now. Will Hillenbrand has agreed to work with us again, and he's so excellent at in-person school visits. He has so much fun with the kids. And then 3 of the authors we worked with in the spring, Sean Pryor, Amanda Driscoll, and Jessica Young, who's the author of this book, will be involved again. So the more money we get, the more schools we're able to grant visits to. And I think in 2019, we had something like 40 applications. And out of those, we funded 23 schools, and that's fully funded, where every child receives a book, and they get to meet the author and talk one-on-one. So it's a really impactful program.
So what's the cost per child?
Per child, the book costs between $4 and $6. I think the most expensive one we've gotten was an $8 hardback book, because we're able to get them at a discount. So the cost per child is pretty low. But again, thankfully, the cheaper we're able to get these are new books, but when you buy in bulk, you get them at a discount between 40 to 55%, depending on the publisher. So most of the money goes directly towards purchasing the books. And the more books we buy, the more we give away to students. So
how much do the authors cost?
we pay them $300 per in-person visit. Some authors charge $5,000 for one school visit. And so we're actually kind of lucky that they agree to do it at such a low rate for us. I think it's mostly because the people that the authors I keep going back to have done this program before, and they just love meeting with kids. And Amanda Driscoll especially is the most popular author. I think we're keeping her first book in print just through school days because it's so popular. But yeah, we only offer $300 per school. And then if for instance they have to travel, then we cover their hotel and their mileage as well. One area that we learned we could save thousands of dollars on is shipping the books. So in 2020, I became the book shipper, and this is my map. I went all across Kentucky delivering books to schools, which was actually really fun, and we saved so much money doing it that way. It took a couple of trips, and we got, I think that's 16 counties or 16 schools in 12 counties. So I'm seeing a lot of Kentucky too while we do this program.
Bill, you mentioned just a couple minutes ago that you wanted to take it statewide. I thought it kind of was already a statewide program. Are you just saying you want to take it statewide in the sense that you want to increase that funding and be in every single county? And then I guess the follow-up would be, I guess, kind of where are the concentrations of the 17 schools that you were in just recently? Are they kind of concentrated all over the state, more Louisville, Lexington, NKU, and so on?
Yeah.
To answer your question, and I'll ask Sarah to also chime in on this, but you're exactly right, Jordan. I mean, the wish would be that that every grade school kid in the state could have his or her own book to take home and be in conversation with an author. I mean, that would take an enormous amount of money. But we have other sponsors, not that many, quite frankly, but other funders in the far western part of the state where we've done the program in Henderson. We also get some funding in far eastern Kentucky. So we're really trying to cover as much as we possibly can. And Sarah, gosh, 12 counties, 16 counties or so. They're not really concentrated in a cluster, are they? They're across the state.
They're not concentrated in a cluster. One thing I try to understand and learn is where the discrepancies are as far as the reading scores are concerned. And so you have to apply to host the program just so it feels fair and any school has a shot. But the schools that apply are mostly in rural areas. They've not received a school visit within the last 3 years most of the time because, like I said, if it costs $5,000 to bring an author to your school and your school already doesn't have library funding, then you can't afford to bring an author. So when you go through us, you get an extremely discounted, well, free visit, plus the free books. So we've been lucky. Some listservs that we share this information to, for instance, in Owensboro, one teacher told her friend who also taught in Owensboro, so we got more than one school in that county. We got more than one school in Webster, that is Owensboro, Union, Ohio County. So sometimes the teachers talk amongst themselves and say, hey, apply for this program. It's free to apply. It only takes 5 minutes. And so one thing we did change so that we could reach more schools was initially in the application process, your school had to fall within the realm of these 3 or 4 criteria. So one of the criteria was that you couldn't have a flagship university in your county. And we changed that because Jefferson County actually has the lowest reading scores, or they have pretty consistently for the last 2 or 3 years. And I wanted to reach some schools in Jefferson County. So we just changed the criteria and got rid of that bullet point so that we could reach even more schools. And we were able to do a program in Jefferson at Sanders Elementary in 2020. So hopefully as the word spreads, we'll get more teachers to do these programs in those really underserved areas. So we focus on underserved. Teachers have to report the reading scores of their students, and that comes into play when we choose the applications to fund.
I guess I got one follow-up, and I think it's partly maybe our fault for the kind of way we write the grant questions. I saw you had the total proposed budget for the program at 60,000, and then kind of farther down there was a breakdown of the budget, and it added up to like 24,000. Is it 60,000? Is that for like the whole book fair, and then like the 24,000 is for like the Arthur's in school program? Is that correct?
Yes.
There's 60,000 more something.
Yeah, 60,000 is the low end of what the book festival could cost. It's usually more like 100,000. But yeah, the school days program is between 24 to 30,000, depending on how many schools we.
That's what I thought. I was just clarifying. Great, thank you.
Since you target the schools that are in the lower economic areas and behind on their reading and comprehension scores, is there any way over the past years that you've had the school days program that you can measure whether this Kentucky Humanities program is advancing the reading scores at all in the schools?
Ruth, we have that same question with some of the work that we do with our primetime reading program. One thing that, to be honest with you, that we're need to figure out how to do and is analytics. And a lot of people ask that same question about other programs. And we don't have a way to really test that. What we want to do is follow a child, a class through their early grades and see what progress they are making. Anecdotally, on a national scale, we do have some numbers which show progression is being made over the years. So I can't really tell you that I have the numbers to back that up at all. And just because it gives me a warm and fuzzy feeling doesn't mean that they're remembering the lesson from the book or exactly who the author was and that sort of thing. But I just want to believe that it is, I think Sarah said a minute ago, impactful. And it's probably, I don't know, of all the programs that we do, this one as a relatively new program for Kentucky Humanities is certainly that impactful and is making a real step forward as far as people recognizing it as something important and something that they want to have in their school.
Yeah, as far as follow-up's concerned, we have the teachers submit a follow-up report right after the visit and then 30 days after the visit. And since they're elementary school teachers, they often forget to return those. But the ones that do, we get overwhelmingly positive feedback. I think one of my favorite responses was that the kids wanted to stay inside during recess so that they could write books. And then at this particular school, the librarian then took those books and put them into the library circulation. So those kids were really excited about reading and drawing, and that might have been a Will Hillenbrand inspiration, because when they see a person who's actually working in the field and has made a career out of drawing and art and reading and writing, it kind of opens that door for those kids, and they understand, oh wow, this is a real thing that I could do. And Amanda Driscoll is really, really good at showing that too. She has a new book coming out in August about controlling your feelings and not being grumpy. And for little kids, sometimes it's difficult to understand why they act out, and so she's trying to address those themes through a little grump truck. It's a dump truck, but it's grumpy. So yeah, those types of books are fun.
I'm buying that for my whole staff, by the way, and handing out, they get a free copy of that one.
In your best estimate, and obviously I know it probably changes kind of year to year because you said the schools apply. How many are kind of coming, how many schools or students, everyone to answer it, are coming from kind of the northern Kentucky region, if you will, within kind of 75 miles of kind of Cincinnati, if you will, comes at Boone, Kenton, Campbell, Gallatin, Grant, all those counties, and so on.
So in spring of 2020, this is just from March to May, I had 2 schools in Kenton County, 1 in Campbell County, 1 in Henry County, 1 in Jefferson County. And in years past, we've also worked with Scott County, Owen County, Shelby. So we do get a lot of feedback from Northern Kentucky. I'd have to check from the past years to see how many of those counties we've blanketed, but it has been a lot, especially since I try to pull some authors from Ohio so that the trip, they can just kind of cross over, and that's where Will Hillenbrand and others come in really handy. But I know he visited I think he visited Gallatin County and maybe Carroll or Trimble in 2019. I'd have to check, but it's a pretty good swath of schools up there.
I was just thinking if there was and you'd probably have to have assistance from the author on my little idea, but if you could create a test, so to speak, for the kids that they would take a couple weeks prior to the author showing up, that would indicate what their reading level comprehension was, interest, and then have some input from the author in constructing some sort of evaluation that the kids would take a week or two or whatever the time period would be after the visit, and see if there was any way to measure the difference between the impact of the author and what his or her book was about and the level and all of that, that would show any increase.
It's a great idea. And I'd be happy to bring that up with any of the authors that, especially Jessica Young, who actually taught for years and could probably help us come up with something. She's a full-time writer now, but I know she taught elementary education for a long time. So yeah, that's a great idea. I tried to write it down.
Ruth, I would also think that maybe, and Sarah too, as we think about this, that it might not fall so much to the author. They would know that it's going on, but to the teacher, if that's not asking them to do too much, that they would have the questionnaire or the subject matter that the kids might be questioned at a couple of weeks before the visit. And then they would also have access to that afterward, maybe in the report. To me, it might be just a simple add-on before in a survey, if you will, before, and then just an add-on to the survey that they're going to fill in afterwards. So we might be able to do that pretty easily.
Like I said, I know nothing about surveys in terms of measuring academic advancement, but I'll mention, Scott Wingate down at the WAVE Foundation, he does a pre-test and a post-test along with the teachers when he brings in the animals, and he also has a curriculum that he and the teachers follow. So he's been able to pretty accurately measure the kids before, after, and then I guess after again, but he makes 3 trips to the school during the year. But he has somebody at Thomas More, one of the analytic professors
Sure.
there, help out with the measurements as an independent body. So I don't know, might check with him and see if any of his methods would apply.
And one thing we do ask the educators that are applying for school days, one thing we ask them to do on their application is write down what they're going to do to prepare their students in advance of the visit. So if they're applying months in advance, they have, August, September, October even to prepare their kids. When we did it in spring virtually, April was Poetry Month and maybe National Author Month. And so a lot of the teachers were studying authors and reading and writing that entire month leading up to the visit. So those sorts of things help too. And the kids often read the book before the author arrives from the library. And if it's a series of books, often they can get their hands on the entire series and read those or look through those too. So that's helpful in a way as well as far as engagement is concerned.
Right. And if I'm a kid and I'm reading a book and they show me a picture of a dead author, just think how great it is that if I have another book and the author is alive and they come in, you learn so much more about the author and what inspires them to write the way they do about the subject matter.
And the kids ask really good questions when the author's there in person. So it's fun to see their brains at work.
All right, well, Phyllis, do you have any questions? No? How about you, Frank?
No, ma'am.
I had one more, but it was a bit off topic, so I'll wait.
Oh, Go
But I
up.
can ask it now. If no one has anything else, I can ask it.
Well, how about Dick? Do you have any questions? Dick?
I'm pretty good on this one.
Andy?
No, I will delegate my time, Ms. Chairman, to Jordan.
Oh, really?
I was just going to ask, I think, Bill, you mentioned last year when we talked, weren't you guys doing some grant making yourself? Didn't some sort of agency give you, and
Yeah.
kind of put you under,
Well,
how did that go?
The agency was the U.S. Congress, and
The-
Congress appropriated the money for the CARES Act and now the American Rescue Plan, Jordan. Congress through the NEH, and the NEH, without lifting a penny off of the accumulation, passes it right down to us. And last year for the CARES Act, and Betty, you will know this because of the money that we normally in a year would grant out is very, very little. In fact, somebody applies for a grant, we rarely have more than $1,500, and that doesn't go very far for any agency. So last year under the CARES Act, we had a total of $500,000, $500,000, which was an awesome and humbling responsibility to pass along to nonprofits across the state. This year, through the American Rescue Plan, in fact, just today, we're accumulating our facts and figures and getting all the applications in. We have $862,000. So in 2 years, $1.3 million or so, give or take $1, that we're going to be able to pass through and grant out. And these are small town, rural museums, as well as some of the larger facilities that are in the state. But most of them go to nonprofits who, during COVID especially, and that's the number one criteria, is that they suffered during the pandemic and had to either lay off employees or close down, or this is to give them some extra funding or some funding altogether. We also applied for what's called a special, and again, Betty, you'll relate to some of this, a National Endowment for the Humanities Chairman's Fund, when two museums, one in the tiny little town of Clay City, Kentucky, and the other one in Beattyville, were flooded. And we applied for a $20,000 grant, $10,000 to each location. So on top of what they are applying for now, they also got, and we visited both of those museums and saw the devastation and the work that they will have to do to restore them to so the public can be admitted again. So yeah, that's underway. And if I might just add as we close, and again, I'm referring to Betty a lot, who used to be on our board, just to say that just about the time that Betty was involved with Kentucky Humanities and then left the board, we took over the Kentucky, at that time, the Kentucky Book Fair in Frankfort. And that was 5 years ago. This year's our 40th anniversary of the Kentucky Book Now Festival. And I'll announce to all of you that we're moving from the venue where we were to Joseph Beth Booksellers, which you're familiar with in your part of the country. Joseph Beth has become a strong partner of ours, and their facility here in Lexington is 45,000 square feet. And we're really going to sort of take over that space on November the 6th. We'll have events all week leading up to the Saturday event. And I sure would like to see all of you down to visit the Kentucky Book Festival on November 6th. We'll have some outstanding national authors. Sarah's really been working on children's authors, some really well-known children's authors. We'll have a children's reading nook where the authors will go through their process of reading to the kids and that sort of thing. So just about, well, I can tell you for sure, some of us are working every single day on preparing for November already. And the only luck we need there, Dick, is that if they'll just schedule the UK University of Tennessee ball game at night for us. I don't know how much influence I'm going to have on the SEC, but whatever it takes to get that game a night game will help us out.
That would be a real help for sure.
Yeah.
So is
Well-
the festival a moneymaker for you at all?
No, it's again, what profit that we make, we put it right toward the following year. We don't really make anything out of it at all. Of course, Joseph Beth, as they would in any location, at a reduced cost that they offer their books for sale, will make a profit to pay for their books. But we want to provide not only celebrating the 40th anniversary, we're the largest book festival in Kentucky. We may, well, there are some smaller ones in other locales, but nothing close by here. So it's something, it's a love of literacy and books. We celebrate writing. There are some masterclass presentations going on during the day. We're pretty excited. We'll have a full lineup. Kentucky Monthly Magazine that I'm sure you receive in your part of the state is going to also partner with us and publish the catalog for the book festival. That's a deal that Sarah's been working on and that made, they have a much larger circulation than our Kentucky Humanities magazine and have agreed to put that publication, our catalog in the magazine. So that'll go out in October and give people plenty of time to peruse that and choose a favorite author and a book that they want to get signed.
How about your Chautauqua series? Is that back on the road or not?
It's back on the road, but it's been dormant for a year because of COVID, of course. We did our best to offer it up virtually, and people just weren't interested in taking it either in classrooms or in civic clubs and that sort of thing. We have some new characters that we're going to give final approval to in just a couple of weeks. And all of them will be ready to go on the road in August. We're lining up schools now who thankfully will be open, or at least the ones that we know of will be open, and they are already booking. So that program will be back on its feet. But it took a hard hit there for a year or so during the pandemic.
Do you have a new Abraham Lincoln yet?
We're talking with some Abraham Lincolns, plural. We do not have one chosen yet, but we want to do that right away. It's very difficult when you know that Abraham Lincoln is going to be your number one star Chautauquan, and we want to be sure and have a good one. We have a new Henry Clay, and he's excellent. And but we have some new characters too that are going to be rolling out, including, since we're talking about writing and reading, Sue Grafton, who only passed away, bless her heart, just 3 years ago, I think now. We have a Sue Grafton character, and I've seen her presentation in rehearsal, and it is really, it's excellent. And you know, Sue wrote the alphabet series, A down to Y, I think it was, WX, Y, yeah, Y. And she does a wonderful job in presenting that. So I'm sure she'll be very popular among adult audiences, especially.
Yeah.
How about Mary Todd Lincoln?
She's still in the fold. She
Okay.
sure is. I'll tell you one that if you really, this is, if I can do a shameless plug for Justice John Marshall Harlan. A new book is just out on him, a biography of Justice Harlan. And he is the author. Now, Sarah, I want to be sure about this. He's confirmed for the book festival. Is that correct?
Yes, he is.
Peter Canellis is his name. And he works for, his day job is working for Politico, if that means anything to you. And we're trying to, we haven't quite got it down yet, but we're going to somehow integrate Justice Harlan, our Chautauqua character, with maybe a presentation by Canales or a question and answer session with him. And I don't know if you are know much about Justice Harlan and his career on the court and his pivotal vote and his 30 years of sitting on the bench. He's a marvelous, fantastic, interesting character. And I didn't really know that much about him either until Canales' book came out. And so we're kind of excited about that one for sure.
Well,
Let's see, who else? There was another character that I was wondering about, but I can't remember since we were just talking about those. Oh, didn't you do Aunt Jemima?
Yes, yes.
Did you do her?
Nancy Green, who was during the era that we've just been through in the last couple of years, was somewhat controversial. But when you give the actress who plays her, Deborah Falk, if you give her an opportunity, it's about stereotypes. It's about not making a judgment on the first impression that someone gives you, that she tells the story, and as she tells the story and begins to take off her Aunt Jemima outfit and is dressed professionally, Nancy Green, Aunt Jemima, turned out to be a very successful woman, a businesswoman in Chicago, made a great deal of money, left a lot of money to some charity work in Chicago. And it's a good story. And so she's still one of our, in fact, she was just chosen as one of 3 artists who will be performing in the Central Kentucky area, sponsored by the mayor's arts office to tell that story. So we're very proud of her for achieving that.
Okay.
Our board meets at the end of this month on the 28th. And as you know, we like to get back to everybody kind of within a week of the meeting. So that first week of August, you'll be hearing back from us.
Fine. Well, thank you all very much. And it's good to see all of you. And we wish you well and hope everyone is safe and healthy. And we thank you very much. Sarah, you want to have a last word?
Just to say thank you, and we look forward to hearing more from you guys.
Well, if you have any questions after we all hang up, don't be hesitant to call us and ask us a follow-up question.
Same thing here. If you think of anything else, feel free to call.
All right.
Thank
Thanks.
you very
Bye.
much.
Good to see you all. Take care.
Bye-bye.
Bye-bye.